Hey there, you military dogs. We start with Izumi expelling the boys for what they've done and telling them to leave. At the station, Mr. Curtis gives a little wisdom of his own.
You're so busy pouting you can't see what your expulsion means. You aren't her students anymore, so now you're finally free to speak to Izumi as equals. Unless, of course, you're too chicken to try it.
The boys return to ask for help getting their bodies back, despite the reception.
What the hell are you doing coming back here? And you call me teacher?
They realise due to Owl's losing his whole body, then he must have seen more of the truth than both Ed and Izumi. Though he can't remember.
Just think what he must have seen.
Ed and Izumi tease Owl about what they saw, but he's made of sturdier stuff, so to speak. And we find they're being watched. Back at East City, Mustang is playing chess with an old friend. The discussion serves to show us how much Mustang has learnt, and then winning proves that he's ready to take on the big leagues. And to do so, he requests the team to take to Central with him.
Master Sergeant Kane Fury, Warrant Officer Vato Fallman, Second Lieutenant Hymens Breda, Second Lieutenant Jean Havoc, First Lieutenant Riza Hawkeye.
Scar is still healing among the Ishvalins, who try urging him to give up the cycle of vengeance, when he's betrayed by Yoki, which is an odd inclusion. Yoki was a character from the original manga and anime. A corrupt member of the military, he imposed heavy taxes on the town of Uswell before the Elric brothers came along to stop him. I find this odd as we seem to have foregone his backstory, though I don't mind as it tends to act as filler. Scar decides to leave with Yoki in tow. Al is cleaning when he is led away and captured by a group of chimeras, but he's not so easily taken.
By coming with...
So I thought it over for myself, and I decided that I should just make you tell me what I want to know.
Greed introduces himself and informs Al that he's been misled by the military, that chimeras can be created. He informs Al that he is a homunculus, and we see through Al's memory that homunculi are people made through alchemy. Greed proves what he is, then shows Al why he's interested in him.
I want everything you can think of. Money and women, power and sex, status, glory. I demand the finer things. And of course, I crave eternal life.
Ed comes to Al's rescue.
Never really crossed my mind that you could get kidnapped.
We find out that Greed isn't with the other homunculi, and he offers a trade. Unfortunately, he angers Ed, which starts a fight. During their fracas, Greed rightly points out that Ed is calm until someone brings in his loved ones.
You completely freak out.
Meanwhile, Izumi finds the boys have gone missing.
Those idiots! They can't even sweep the street without getting into trouble!
Back at the Devil's Nest, the fight doesn't seem to be going well for Ed, but Greed makes the normal villain mistake of toying with him and then talking too much, giving Ed the information and time to work out how to bypass his ultimate shield.
You may be a homunculus, but you really shouldn't have told me that your body is human, considering that means a third of it is made of carbon.
Ed has turned things around, and just as they are at a rest point, Izumi enters the fray.
Imbecile! You think it's funny not to put the broom away?
The episode ends with Greed meeting his match.
Just what the hell are you?
A housewife!
This episode introduces a swath of new characters, and like Mustang's chess match, we see pieces moving around the board. Greed seems a little more different to the other homunculi. He's open and honest about what he wants, which, unsurprisingly, are self-serving. Although lust, envy, and gluttony have some kinship, what seems to set Greed apart is the chimeras that work with him. Although they act as henchmen for him, they show care and concern for each other, despite being adversaries to the boys. Greed and his people do attempt diplomacy first. Interestingly, it's the Elrics that tended towards violence in their opening gambit. Despite the sarcasm, Al proves once again that he has wisdom above his years, and I have to keep reminding myself of my bias about him being a child. The inclusion of Yoki is an interesting choice in Scar's story, and it leads me to wonder of his part to play. The one thing that it did do was draw my attention to the theme within the episode, that of greed. It is represented in more than just the homunculi himself. Yoki's sin in the original FMA series was greed. Mustang's plan, shown by his chess game, are also rooted in greed. Also, Ed and Izumi's discussion of the truth is based on greed for information, despite their good intentions. Even despite what they have been through, they continue their quest, now looking to Al to fill in more of the gaps. The episode poses more questions about what's going on, if they'd only stop fighting a moment.